Alright guys, got a 2022 Can-Am Outlander XMR1000, and of course you can see no gun rack, and I do need a gun rack. I've been putting my gun in that tote and tying it in there, which that's been okay, but we got to get it straight. So I found a rack from Arrow ATV that fits on the front there off the radiator support. It's two little small racks. I'll show you here in just a second. So there's the rack pieces. Here's the left hand side here, and then the opposite side's the right hand, with the one with the Arrow ATV and its index is on the left side. It also has a countersink holes for your rack bolts. So you got 4 support brackets, left and right, 2 each, and the hardware bags, 4 pipe clamps, stainless steel, and the instructions. Alright, so I got the hardware and tools for the job, and I'll show you the list here of the hardware. You can pause it and check that out at the top. The smaller washers here, I'm pretty sure that they're made for the rack bolts, for the fasteners that go through the plastic here. And then the large washers, it's stating, well, it doesn't state, but it says it has washers for the pipe clamps, which these have they're the locking style with the ridges underneath. According to the directions, I'm assuming the big washers with the U-bolts, and the smaller ones go on the underside of the plastic piece through the mounting brackets. And I like the nice nylock nuts. You know how a four-wheeler vibrates, so that's going to keep it from backing off. Plus this is stainless, and I'm going to use Loctite on them. Excuse me, not necessarily for the Loctite capability, but to prevent galling. It's a stainless hardware, so you need to try to put something on there to prevent the galling. It can occur with stainless. So I'll read straight from the directions. Installation instructions. Number 1, install 2 left-hand brackets to the bottom of the left-hand rack. Be sure to keep the U-bolt part of the brackets pointing toward the front of the ATV. And that is talking about this part here. You want it like so towards the front of the machine. I'll show you in the picture here. Right here. Place the 6 by 25mm button head bolts through the top of the rack, then through the holes on the bracket. Secure the bracket with an M6 washer and an M6 lock nut. Alright guys, while this system's relatively simplistic in nature, it is constructed well. And I was a little reserved to pay the price they want for this stuff, but quite frankly, hunting season started. I need a way to securely haul my rifle or muzzleloader, and as expensive as that plastic is, I priced like a 4x8 sheet. It's ridiculous, and even a half a sheet, it's like just crazy money, stupid money, like $300 or so. But anyway, the way they bend the rackets, and I don't know if they're lasering these or what they're doing, but however they're boring their holes, it's top notch. So as expensive that plastic is, I kind of get it. I could certainly build something myself, but my shop's not really set up yet, and the season's on us. So I was like, my wife told me go ahead and get it, so ponied up and paid it, and it's a nice system. I like how they got this coating on here, that protective coating to keep, not that it matters, but to keep from getting your steel all dinged up and scratched up. It's a pretty cool little feature there. It's quality stuff. The machine work, or however they're cutting their stuff, and the steel and the plastic both is top notch. It's windy today, and I apologize for its wind noise. It's supposed to get nice tomorrow, so I'm going to try to get this ready to where I can hit the woods once again, and then safely be able to transport my rifle. Not that it wasn't safe before, but hanging out of that box, it's dragging through brush and stuff. Alright, so I got the hardware laid out to put the rack on the brackets, the piece of plastic, and 10mm on these nylock nuts, and 4mm on the hex. Fits the socket. You can see it's got its own washer in place, so a washer will not fit through the top, nor do you need it due to the fastener here. But like I said, to prevent galling, I'm going to use some blue Loctite, and I'm going to put too much on it, knowingly, to try to prevent galling. That's way too much, but it will serve a purpose. And I'm not using it for the locking protection, primarily the galling. Alright, so I got the plastic rack top laying as it would on the four-wheeler. So this is obviously the front part, this is the back. You want the brackets with this flange towards the front of the four-wheeler. So flip it over. Turn it around where you can see better. And of the two washers, use the smaller ones on the rack part. Alright, got a 10mm wrench on the back side and the 4mm hex on the hex side. And everybody knows how to tighten the fastener, so that's it. Guys, I'm just doing a rough fit up right now. A good bit of engineering went into the design of this. See how the tube here is at an angle like this, and then it turns back. Well, when I got the brackets fastened to the plastic, you can see they're not straight in line, and I was like, well, it's probably the design of that pipe, and sure enough it is. you got this bend back here, so that's angled to meet that bend properly, and then this one is square with it. So that's part of what you're paying for when you pay big money for stuff like this, is the tooling they're using and the engineering going into it, and then the parts and components. So most people, I'm sure, will just bolt this straight to the bar, and that's fine, but I want to try not to gouge up that coating there, so I'm going to put some tape around it, and if there's any holding issues, I'll obviously remove it. But I mean, the paint's not that big of a deal, but I want to try to keep it as nice as possible. So I think the clamp's going to hit about here, almost touching the bar. So I had wrapped it there, and I had to cut it off to, I'm going to overhang it on that flat. So I have to make a slit here, and then wrap it, with some more tape. Alright, we'll do a quick dry fit. Alright, so I got the tape in place and rigged up. These bolts have a lot of oil or grease or something on them, so I'm not going to worry about the Loctite on them. That'll give you lubrication. And I don't know if these are actually stainless or not. The clamps are rusting a little bit. Not that some quote-unquote stainless, crap they're calling stainless, will rust. Hey guys, after a little bit of thought, I went ahead and put a little Loctite on them, and pulled the other one off that I put on and Loctited it too. Just those machines rattle a bunch, especially the racks and stuff, so it'll give me peace of mind at least. But with all that tension on that pipe, I don't think it'll back out, but we're going to do it anyway. Alright, got that one started. That's going to need a wrench. Kind of fiddly. Well, I'll pull it back out. Alright, stay there, baby. Need 4 hands. Alright, let's try it again. Nope. Alright, let's try it again. Probably fail number 4. I think we got it. Alright, we got it started. Alright, it's real fiddly and tough to film, but you get the idea, so there it is. I'll get the rear one done and get it mounted in place. Hey guys, I got both of the U-bolts on in place, and now it's time to level it up. The front end of the four-wheeler obviously is not level. It's no telling if my driveway where the pads of the machine are level, but we're just going to level it up best we can by eye. And then I do have a level to, you know, to halfway check it out. But the main thing I want to do is this rear bracket. You can see right now it's touching the plastic. So we're going to raise it up about as high as we can get it off that plastic, where it'll be about level, and go from there. That's the main thing. If I put stuff on this rack, I don't want it beating on my plastic and tearing it up. Alright guys, I've got a level on it, and it's just fine front to rear. And I got a little the plastic's not perfectly level, so but that's good enough for me. It's about as level as it's going to get, and I do have it pitched in just a touch towards the machine, which I kind of want it that way, just a touch, in case the weight over time would happen to push it down or whatnot. But I guess this is about a 12-inch extension. Whoop, the camera's going. Lock it in there now. So I think it's a 12-inch extension. I told you wrong before. It's a 13 millimeter. With a 12-inch, it gets you right in there. But just tighten each one, a little bit of torque on each one, and go back and forth. The main thing I wanted is the clearance here, because I don't want to tear up the plastic. So we got pretty decent clearance. I got the rear raised up as high as you can get it, and you know, keeping it level. But just play around with it a little bit. It's not too terribly difficult. Alright, well I got it good and snug. I don't want to tighten these too tight, because I'm sure that steel tube's not very thick. And if let's see here, if that bracket's any indication, it's just like an old 70s swing set, backyard swing set you get. So I got them all good and snug, and just a quick test. I can rock the whole machine back and forth with it, and I need a gun rack on here, that's it. I'm not going to be hauling anything on the front rack other than that. Maybe some clothes or something. But main thing I was concerned about is the clearance here on the plastic. I don't want to digging into that. No telling how much a piece of plastic would be. But anyway, figure it might help if anyone has an XMR. I think Can-Am could have probably done a better job making a nice rack for this thing, and maybe even extending it a little beyond the deal to put a rifle in the front of the radiator or whatever. But anyhow, there it is. Right, nice little system. Pretty daggone expensive. I'll be the first one to admit that. But like I said, the plastic's really high dollar stuff. So anyway, I hope it helped. Alright guys, got the Arrow ATV racks for the XMR installed. Pretty happy with it. Thing's pretty solid. Pretty solid. I think it's rated for 20 pounds a rack, but I wouldn't want to put a whole lot in there. I don't know how thick this brush guard material is, but I got it pitched in just a little bit towards the machine and pretty doggone level. But it turned out pretty nice. See, it's shaking the whole thing. I think it's going to serve my needs. I don't know if I'll be able to access the link system or not for my gun rack. I don't know, we'll have to think. I got the Fin Grip Pro 2. It holds 2 rifles. I might have to make a stair step or something to mount to this to clear the radiator. But I think it looks pretty good. Regardless, it's a heck of a lot better than it was. That's for sure. I'm just doing some testing. These are the Fin Grip Pro 2s, I think. Anyway, Coleman brand name now. I think the company, when I bought them years ago for my 04 Polaris, was a different manufacturer, but maybe it was Coleman, I can't remember. But I like them pretty well. I'm just kind of, I'll check to see whether or not this will work or not. Bolt it somewhere around here, and then have my barrel pointing out front. That's how I got it on my Polaris. I got I think a double. I thought I had doubles in here, but they're the singles. But I'll give it a shot. Let's drill some holes. I thought about putting a double across this way, but you have to raise it so high. It'd probably be a pain in the butt. But we'll figure something out.